Hi, Cutie Pies. It's Lanickia coming to you with another episode of Love After Lockup, Walk of Shame. We're just going to jump right into it. So we see that Dante is caught Nicole because something in his gut told him to turn back around. So he turns back around, and yes, Nicole is getting into the car with the infamous Zach, her ex-boyfriend that she was with, that didn't hold her down while she was in prison because they were too young, and he went on and went about his business. So Zach is picking her up, and Dante is completely devastated and hurt by this because he's like, girl, you just met my mama, and now you're going and being with another man. He doesn't understand what's going on, but what's going on is what we've been telling him for the whole season. This girl does not want you like that. She wants what you can do for her. She does not want you. But so he starts throwing stuff out the car. He's like throwing bears and I guess like, sir, go get your money back for that. But he's throwing it out. It's raining too. It's all dramatic, and she's like, oh, it's about time he showed this side of him. Oh, it kind of turned me on. Like, girl, she doesn't give a care. She doesn't care how she treated him. So Dante leaves or whatever because his feelings are hurt. And she rides off with Zach. She got the stuff out of the car, put it in the trash can, and was like, Zach, where you gonna take me somewhere? And he like, yeah, we can go somewhere. And that's pretty much how that went. So then we go to Stan and Lisa. So Lisa okay, so she got money, right? I thought the girl had saved up some money that Stan had been giving her. No, she's been spending that, so she got her stimulus money. So she's using her stimulus money to stay in this hotel, and Lisa is pretty much at this point like, listen, I'm not trying to spend all my money on this hotel, and I'm supposed to be at his place. So let me go on and make this right and go on over to Stan's. So I'll talk about it later. So let me go ahead and go over the Stan's or whatever. So she calls him up. And okay, Lisa needs to stop crinkling that hair because that hair straight on her, very pretty. Like, because I was like, she's not looking like her pictures. But once she put that straight hair on, I was like, oh, okay. Now she's looking like her pictures. And she's a very pretty woman. And everything. So anyway, she gets Stan on the phone. Of course, Stan is like, he gonna go for it. I mean, because, it's Stan. So he goes over to the hotel. He comes, picks her up, and they go home. And everything. And they know they got to talk. So then we get to Doug. Because, they didn't show him last week, but they showed him this week. So he and his sister Crystal have got into it because Crystal is like, Ashley treated Doug Jr. bad while you were in prison. And he like, she just wants the best for him. And at this point, she took him when nobody else could take him. And she was like, well, my husband had felonies, so I couldn't took him. He was like, coulda, woulda, shoulda. She took him. You didn't. But I mean, she gave him up to Rachel because the little boy is bad. So the little boy gets all upset and he gets mad at his dad because he's like, how you going to tell these people you don't need them and yada, yada, yada. And he's upset because Crystal was defending him. So, yeah, he on Crystal's side because she was defending him and was like, yeah, Ashley was mean to him and all that. And Doug is really disrespectful to me, to his sister. And then we see Rachel, who is just like, what is going on? Because she's never seen this side of him. So then Crystal starts talking to Rachel and she tells Rachel, he gonna use you, girl. You better watch him because he's gonna bring you down. He's gonna cheat on you. He's gonna use you. And Rachel's like, well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And she was just telling her, I'm just telling you, be careful because he's no good and all that. But notice how none of the family tried to tell Crystal she was wrong for saying what she was saying. Nobody was trying to intervene and step in. The only thing the dad said was give him a chance. So that lets you know that Doug is no good. I'm sorry. I've said this since when he was trying to get all upset because his parole and all that. When he acted like he was going to act good, but he was all upset because why can't I have more freedom on my parole? Because you can't. You did bad stuff, and that's one of the punishments is that you have to be on parole. And the fact that he went over there on the weekend anyways and then goes and gets into this big fight is another thing. Like, Rachel, leave Doug alone. Leave this man alone. But anyway, so Douglas is like, I don't want to talk to you, Dad. I want Rachel because he's connected to her. And Doug is just like, listen, the little boy get on my nerves. Y'all already know that. I told you on the last video. But you can't come in Neanderthal being like, he gonna respect me. No one owes you respect. Just because you're his dad doesn't mean he owes you respect. He can listen to you, he can do it, but that doesn't mean he has to respect you. He can do everything you say, tell him to do, because you're his parent, but that doesn't mean he has to respect you. He can do all that and not respect you. And the little boy doesn't respect him. And he told Rachel, because they leave, right? Crystal is like, yeah, you're going to be two months and you'll be back in prison. So they leave. Crystal and her husband leave because they finna, like, he like, nah, you're not finna keep talking about, like, it was finna get ugly. So everybody leaves. So then Doug and Rachel are at the gas station, and she gets out and goes to the back with Dougie, little Douglas, and he's just like, he ain't what I thought he was. He's saying he don't need his family. He was like, I need them, and all this kind of stuff. And she was like, he not what I thought he was either. I said, Lord, because if she wanted to get custody of that little boy, she probably could, because she's the only adult around here that has some sense, besides Crystal. So then we go to Jeff. Okay, so Jeff's secret is that he has a son by Kristen, his ex. He thinks it's his son. I don't know. I don't really care about Jeff. But Kyle is like, you need to tell Anissa. And I'm like, well, sir, this isn't that huge of a secret. Just tell her what's going on. Like, people make stuff more than what it is by not being truthful. If you are truthful with someone, allow them to make the decisions, then you don't have these issues in relationships. But the problem comes when people try to play you and they try to not tell you the truth on things. That's the issue, and that's the problem. And that's exactly what's going on here with Jeff. Like, you're making an issue out of nothing, because just tell her the truth. I mean, you've already left her twice when you were supposed to meet her or whatever. Just, I mean, the son is 18. You can have a relationship with the son and not have a relationship with the mom. People kill me with that. Like, stop it. Okay, so then we move on to Ray and Brittany. So Brittany is there, and she's just like enthralled by Ray. She's like, oh, he was so wonderful last night and all that, yada yada yada. And then she brings up his grandma. Like, he gets a text and his grandma's coming over and whatever with some food, and like, grandma, lay off. Like, you ain't got nothing else to do. That's what this boils down to. You have nothing else to do. And then Brittany's like, oh my gosh, like, she's checking up. She's trying to see how the place is going to look. And he's like, tell my grandma that. Like, shut up. I hate a guy who is like, well, she cares so much about me. But this is who is, you're with Brittany. If you wanted to be with your grandma and them and see your family all the time, you should have took yourself home and not stayed at Brittany's place. Like, I wouldn't want to open up my house to people constantly either. Like, if you want that, go over there, and I could have came over there and visited you. That's just how I see it. But I don't know. So then we see Courtney and Josh, and he won't be into, like, she's asking him, well, she asked in a crude way, like, girl, that's not the way you do it. But I think she was just messing with him because she already knew the answer. But he won't be intimate with her, and she's like, you get all giggly and stuff when you talk to your, like, I guess the ex guys and stuff. And he was okay, so he's 29 and he was in prison for 11 years, and I said, whoa, that is a long time. That is, like, he missed all of the development years of yourself. They were all in prison. And I understood kind of what he was saying, where he was like, I'm not used to, like, I was used to maximum security being by myself. And so now I have, but I don't know, like, sir, you could do it. You could do a little bit of adjusting. And she was like, on the phone, excuse me, sinus, you said you made all these promises. It's going to be like this, and we're going to do this, and it's going to be like that, and you're going to be so romantic, and now you're here, and all you want to do is play video games, and you giggle on the phone and talk to them like, why can't you do that with me? And his excuse again is that, he's just used to being alone and all that. But make some effort, because this woman gave up her career for you. And he might not like that she throws that up, but I think it every time I see the two of them, how much she gave up, and I don't know if it was worth it. And I think she's looking at him now like, this was maybe not worth what I gave up. Like, I gave up a good paying job, a career that I truly did enjoy. Probably was gonna move up and advance through it. Even if she had to go somewhere else because she said they didn't, in the last episode that they was tripping about her. But even if she had to go somewhere else, she was probably gonna advance and move up through it. And she gave that all up for him. And it's just like she's looking at this like I remember watching an episode of Divorce Court, and this woman had their kids were all grown and out of the house, and they had grandchildren and all that, and she was wanting to divorce her husband after so many years, and they call it the gray divorce, and it's because the woman looks at the man, or even the man looks at the woman, but usually it's the woman looks at the man, and she's like, this ain't gonna get no better, and this is just boring, and I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, there's nothing worth, it's not worth me staying here. So she'd rather be divorced and be happy and on her own. I think Courtney is starting to look at Josh like, I made a mistake. And I think her frustration also comes from, she doesn't want to admit that. She doesn't want to admit that she made a mistake, but she's starting to feel that way. Because I'm looking at it like, ooh, girl, I think you made a mistake too. So then we see Stan and Lisa, and she lets him know it's a lot of people on this show like that. They don't want to be touched like that. And she lets him know, like, you're too affectionate. Like, I don't want to always be touched, and I don't want all this. And he said, okay, I'm starting to see that. I'm realizing that you don't like to be touched and everything that much. Yes, like, so adjust. She needs to adjust a little bit, and he needs to adjust a little bit, and then y'all find a happy medium. Lisa tells this story about this woman in prison who made disgusting brownies, y'all. If you could imagine, like The Help, like chocolate pie. And they asked Lisa, "Did you eat them?" She said, "I would have been in the hole if I ate those brownies." Like, who does that? And then Lisa says, she talks about, listen, Lisa is trying to get in because now she's like, okay, let's go to the dungeon and everything with Stan. And of course, he ready. So then we see just a small clip where Anissa's cousin Penny comes and meets Jeff, and he's going to start working. And he's talking about, I've only wore design. He wanted a pair of Gucci pants, and he wants to get his teeth fixed and all of that kind of stuff. I don't care. So Rachel's eyes are open to Doug, and she doesn't want the fuss and fighting. So Rachel's like, we should go to counseling because the way you communicate is not healthy, and you're going to break the little spark that is left in little Dougie. She truly loves this little boy, and he probably would be better off if he was just around her and not his dad, or his dad's family. But Doug is... In this episode, it truly showed how Doug is, and it showed why her mother had concerns when she first met him that day when he got out. And I have concerns. I have concerns for the long run and her safety because, he just explodes. And I don't know. There's something about him that I'm just like, girl, you need to leave him alone. I'm glad y'all on camera doing this. And she's pretty much like, if you don't go to counseling, we're not having a child, and you're going to leave. And he was like, what? And I was like, yes, put your foot down. Tell him. And he was like, I didn't go listen to the counselors this and listen to the counselors that. Well, see, this is what his daddy was talking about when he said, you better love her and you better do this, and she's good for you. And what I said on the last video, she is good for him. He is not good for her. She needs to leave him alone. Take his sister's advice, girl, and leave this man alone. And that's all I got for Doug and Rachel. Because I actually do like Rachel. I think I like her and Courtney. I think they're one of the not better people, but they're one of the people I can relate to on the show as far as just they were going to work and getting their stuff together. I mean, everyone does that, but I feel like they could have had different mates and had a nice life instead of having to struggle with this relationship. Ray's grandma shows up, y'all, and Brittany is very vocal. She's letting him know this is an inspection. She's not coming here just to be like, oh, I'm gonna see my grandson. She's coming here to inspect how I keep house. Hela. She's coming here to inspect how I keep house and to make sure everything is good. And that's why she was coming there. So, okay, anyways, Brittany finally tells Ray that she hasn't quite told her parents that he was living with her. And he's like, you tried to hide me. Like, boy, shut up. That girl is not trying to hide you. And even if she was, but she's not. Give her a minute to let her parents adjust to this, because she's, okay. There's Houston, and then there's different areas in Houston. His family, just based on the house and everything that they were in, they live in a nice area as well. But she lives in a nice, like the Woodlands is really nice. They built the community. There's a certain type of people that live in the area, and her parents don't want her with you. I'm like, her parents, like exactly what she told his grandma. They feel like he's bringing nothing to the table, and he's not. Like, he's not bringing anything to the table. You just got out. Get on your feet. Prove yourself a little bit. Like, what you want to meet her parents so fast for? What are you going to do? Like, I don't understand it. Like, I just wouldn't feel like she had me. And then the grandma, so she had told him that earlier without the grandma. So then when grandma come over, she brought food and all that, clothes and everything, which, okay, cool. But then, so they're sitting down eating, and she was like, she's so protective of him, and Brittany is like, well, I'm protective of him too. But I was like, and her parents are just as protective as you are of Ray, is what Brittany's parents are of her. And they don't want her with this man who they feel like he's been in prison. Like, this woman is 33. She lives in a nice area, has a nice home, drives a nice vehicle, has a nice career. They don't want her with him. I mean, point blank, period. They don't want her with him, and they're not supportive. And you can't be mad because they're not supportive. She's not hiding him. She just doesn't want to have to deal with that extra drama of that. And he should be understanding, and his grandma should too. And if you don't want that type of feeling like she's hiding you, or she's not, like, then do something with yourself in these next few months or whatever, and don't be cheating on her. Okay, so then we see Nicole goes home. Okay, so now Nicole spent the night with Zach, and she goes home, and her mom and her stepmom Jill are sitting on the porch, and she was like, "Ah, snap, I'm finna hear it." And her mama was like, girl, that what you pulled last night, unacceptable. And I like Nicole's mom because she gives it to her straight like it is. Even Jill didn't say too much, but when she did speak, they were both 1,000% on point for what it is with Nicole. They were both very on point. And Nicole's mom was just like, what you did to Deontay was wrong. And then you go roll up here with Zach? What are you doing? And she was like, I slept with Zach, but it was only because Deontay made me so mad. Like, girl, no, you wanted to sleep with Zach. You've been trying to get Zach since you got out. And he just finally made a little time for you. And then you went over there. Tell me, I just went over there to hang out, to chill out, and then we end up sleeping together. Girl, tell this to somebody who believes you. No, I do not believe this. You knew exactly what you were doing when you got in that car with Zach or whatever. And so her mom and Jill are like, Jill was like, you used him. He spent a lot of money on you, money that he had to work hard to get. And he spent it on you, and you just took from him, and he thought you loved him, and then you go off with somebody. Yeah, you've been going off with other people and all that. And her mom is just like, I'm disappointed in you. Like, what are you doing? And she was like, I have feelings for Zach. And her mom was like, I thought it was Tia. I thought you had feelings for Tia. And she was like, I have feelings for Tia. I'm just so confused. No, girl, you're not confused. You're a little hoe. That's the bottom line with this. You want to be with everybody but Deontay. That's who you don't want to be with, but you want the things that Deontay has to offer you. You want the cell phone. And he asked for the cell phone back at the beginning of the episode, and she pretty much was just, she wouldn't give it back, so he was like, I'm going to deactivate it. You ain't deactivated that yet, because she is still using that cell phone. Ugh, in the car crying. Like, he was really boo-hooing. He was hurt. It's not funny. But he was really hurt. But I was like, what did you expect? You met her. You bought her. You're trying to buy her love and affection towards you, and it didn't work because she don't want you. She's just playing you. This is a long con for her. And the fact that she can still say I love you, but then turn around and be like, I slept with Zach because of him. Like, girl, you are a narcissist, sociopath. You got some issues. You need to go and get some counseling because something is wrong with you. Anytime somebody can do you that filthy and that dirty and justify it, or attempt to justify it in their minds, there's mentally something wrong with them, because no one can do you like that. And then her mom says, I think she tries to tell herself that she loves Dante just so she won't feel bad for the way she's treating him, because she doesn't love him. She loves what he can do for her and all that, because she don't love him, because she's sitting there telling her mom and her mom and her stepmom, I'm gonna get it together, I'm gonna do this, and got right on the phone with Tia. That was the episode, y'all. That was it. I don't know. And then we saw a sneak peek from the next episode, and Deontay, his friend Derek, is just like, you are not this dumb. He was like, I love her. Oh, you do not love this girl. You want. He wants. He wants a white woman. He just wants a white woman. Like, I feel like he thinks I could never get a woman like this on my own. And he's fetishized being with her. It's like, that's why a part of me feels bad for him, but a part of me doesn't. Because I'm like, you pay for what you get. You paid for that. You've been letting her play you. You've been letting her not sleep with you. You've spent all this money on her. You bought her all these things. You gave her all this money. She's gotten makeovers. She's gotten clothes. You keep giving, and the girl is clearly telling you, I don't want you, but I'm going to take all this stuff. And the fact... All right, I'm done. I'll see you on the next time. Bye-bye.